The Council of the European Union also approved today a declaration against anti-Semitism in Europe. The declaration, which passed unanimously with 28 votes, calls on all EU member countries to endorse Holocaust commemoration and education, adopt the Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism, and demands that more attention be paid to online anti-Semitism and terrorist activities. Paul Gross, a senior fellow at the Menachem Begin Heritage Center, joins us now via Skype with more. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just get into it. How measurable or noticeable do you think the results of these changes or this amendment resolution will be?
I mean, Europe's a big place, and it's going to vary from country to country. We also don't know the extent to which member states will adhere to these rules. It's interesting that the resolution includes a call to observe the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which of course includes
defamation, delegitimization, and
not delegitimizing Israel exactly, and not ascribing double standards to Israel, and that's something which, in particular, the left in Europe has been particularly guilty of.
Okay, so could the outcome of this? I'm sure that this could swing both ways, but do you think it's more likely that these EU member countries, at least their governments, try to adhere to this, at least on the surface, or do you think that this will actually even cause more division between Jews in the diaspora in EU countries and their neighbors?
There was a CNN poll recently which showed that there's some interesting views on Jews amongst Europe's citizens, including exaggerated views of Jewish influence on the world, and it varies from country to country, but certainly some worrying trends. I think the situation that Jews find themselves in Europe is problematic. I think we need to be proportional about it and not sort of talk about the situation as though we're entering another 1930s scenario. On the other hand, there are certainly problems, and Jews face both traditional, we can say traditional European far-right anti-Semitism and an imported variety of anti-Semitism from the Arab world as well.
I see. All right. So, and then I guess finally, which countries do you think would be most likely then to adhere to these new guidelines, as opposed to the other countries that maybe just voted for this to be politically expedient?
Well, it was interesting that the country calling for it initially was Austria, which is interesting, not just because of the history, but also because Austria has within its government a coalition partner, the Freedom Party, which is a far-right party, and the mainstream conservative government that from which the Chancellor comes, I think is very anxious to make sure that people don't see Austria as an anti-Semitic country. Germany, of course, not only has the history that we all know, but is traditionally takes anti-Semitism very seriously these days and fights anti-Semitism. And Jews in Germany are in an interesting situation. It's the largest, it's the most growing Jewish community in Europe, and yet also has problems with both the far right, the AfD party, and anti-Semitism from immigrants from the Arab world.
All right. Well, so I guess you've posed a very interesting dichotomy. I'm sure it's going to be kind of a roller coaster to see exactly how this plays out. Paul Gross, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.